just a little bit more about financial literacy.
Yeah.
I know that, studies have been done. I think last week and the week before, I was having a conversation with someone who was saying the financial literacy rate is really low in Africa, specifically in Kenya, Tanzania as well. What's the metric for determining whether someone's financially literate or not? Is that a worldwide understanding? Is there a metric that we're like, okay, if some, it's like mathematics. If you can, do arithmetic, if you can divide if you can read, write, you're literate.
Yeah.
Is there a metric that people use that we ought to be using to determine financial literacy?
You see, you've asked two questions there.
Yeah.
Is there a metric that is used, and then is there a metric that we ought to use?
Yes.
Those are two different questions. So is there a metric that's used? Generally, people are going to ask, are you aware of financial tools? Are you part of the financial system? As in, are you banked? Are you trading? Are you earning within that system? Those are kind of metrics that people, do you have savings? Do you have any kind of investment? So those are the ones that are easy, and they're the ones that are used by most institutions they're looking at. So when you come into a country like Kenya, you'll talk about how many people are unbanked, how many people are outside of the insurance systems that are there, how many people are invested in the capital markets or any other kind of markets that are there. Those are the ones that are easy to track. Okay, and so thank God for the industry that we have here in Kenya, and wonderful tools like FXPesa that have really begun to bring people into kind of that formal currency investment systems that are there. So those are the ones that are tracked because they're easy. Do you go and do a survey? Do you have a bank account? Do you have any investments? Those are things you can tick off. Now, do you understand what those things do for you? Do you have a goal? Do you have an outcome that you're aiming for? I think personally, and that's what we try and train at Centonomy, is do you know what they do for you? Because what we're beginning to see is, because thank God for the amazing work you're doing and the rest of the people in the industry, just trying to get people to know, like understand, you need to be investing, understand you need to be saving, you need to be doing all these different things. So people are aware and are trying, but they don't fully understand. And that's what we need to be tracking. So we do a lot of work on trying to help people to set goals. Like there's an outcome that you want. And sometimes you don't even know what that outcome is. I don't know if I can give you an example.
Yeah, please.
You know what I mean? Okay. So I want to live in a nice house is something many Kenyans, many Africans will say.
Yes.
Like,
I think anyone would say they want to live in a nice house. Yeah, but fair enough.
Yeah, most human beings. Okay, good. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Okay. That means nothing. Why? Because where is that house? How much is it? And then when you're living in that house, what will sustain you in that home? Those are the kind of questions people don't ask. So I want to live in a nice house. Good. Where is, describe the house. So, that's what the process we go through. Describe the house. Okay, it's a 3-bedroom house on a 1/4 acre. Okay, good. 3-bedroom house on a 1/4 acre. Is it near the city? Is it far from the city? Is it in the city? Because those are same physical dimensions, but not the same thing.
Yes.
In the city, you're talking millions, sometimes of dollars, not even shillings. Outside of the city, maybe a few million shillings. You see, so which one is it? Make a decision. Like say, this is what I'm going for. It's parents who are saying, we were talking about your kids before this session, and saying, it's parents saying, I want my kids to go to university. That means, again, nothing. Which university? Is it your local college? Is it an Ivy League school? Because if it's a local college or Ivy League school, those are not the same thing. You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars for Ivy League. You're talking about possibly
a couple 100,000 shillings.
Yeah.
University.
So which one is it? Because if you say, okay, I want that house that's a few $1 million, and I'm earning 30,000 shillings today per month, doesn't make sense.
Right.
So your goal cannot be, okay, I want a $3 million house and I'm earning 30,000 shillings and I'm going to be saving 10% of my income every month. You will never get to that goal.
Right.
So if you set the goal and say, I want that $3 million house, it has to change your income earning. That's it.
Right.
I mean, if you're earning 30,000, you must change that.
Yeah.
So what are the strategies to change that? So yes, we're going to talk about saving. We're going to talk about investment. We're going to talk about income earning capabilities, but it has to be in line with a goal.
Okay.
So most people are told, save. You're not even told why, but you need to save. And in fact, the reason that's often given is for a rainy day,
Right.
and especially women. So we have a huge culture of saving. We were doing some work with United Women's Circle. And I was talking to the CEO there, and she was just saying, we have so much saving. We are really trying to tell people, borrow, take money and go do something with it. No.
Save.
I just want to save and put my money aside. And it's because they don't have an outcome.
Yeah.
They don't have a goal that they're aiming
working
for.
towards.
Yeah, and that's an important thing.
So in terms of trying to determine financial literacy,
Yeah.
there's really no metric around really trying to figure out whether someone's financially literate or not. What we have is the ability of who's using financial tools.
Yeah.
And
Who's in the financial system?
Yeah, and it sort of ends there.
Yeah.
In terms of trying to determine someone's ability to actually understand financial literacy and be financially literate, we don't have a metric for that yet. A universal, like an SI
universal,
unit?
no. In my opinion, no.
No. Okay.
Yeah, but we're getting better.
Yeah.
I think every time we come into a situation like this, people are watching this, they're listening to this podcast, it's going to trigger something, and that begins to help grow that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think it would help, though, if there was some sort of, with all of these things we do, whether it is marketing, whether it is production, like you go to school and there's an exam and you
Yes.
pass, and do you think it would help if there was some sort of
Yeah.
official
Yeah.
grading metric system where people would then come and pass and you say, okay, now you're financially literate?
So, our founder Waithaka was on a trip in Europe, and she was going through, and they actually begin to teach these things in the education system. So young people are learning in school what that outcome is. So, okay, it's not complete, but it's useful. What does that mean? As a young person, you begin to understand at some point, my hard work should start paying me. How does that compute for them, especially like in Europe? It means that I am a home owner, which means I've reduced my home costs. Generally, when you own your own home, it's a lower cost than renting that home on a monthly basis. So if you've done that, it's also an asset that I can use to leverage, to borrow, and do other investments to grow. So those are kind of things that you begin to think about. Number two, I have a pension or a retirement plan,
Okay.
which means that when I stop working, I have sufficient investments that those investments will sustain me.
Yeah.
So that's an important goal.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to retire and be comfortable, and that's generally what's happening in Europe. Here, the storyline in Africa is very different. It's mainly around home ownership. Like one of the biggest goals is I want to own my own home. But the thing that we don't understand is that the home in and of itself is not financial freedom. It kind of covers some of the costs that you'd have, but it's not free. I always try and get people to think, okay, you're living in your own home. What is paying you to live there? That's financial freedom. So that you don't even have to own your own home to be financially free. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have a constant income from somewhere else, you own a business, you own investments that are paying you can rent anywhere and live wherever you want, and you're secure. That's kind of what we're looking at.